Good everything,
Uh,
Vladimir and everybody else. Morning, afternoon, night, minute, moment, day, yoga.
Yuga.
Yeah, likewise.
Yuga was good addition to it. And Kalpa has the
Mhm.
Mahakalpa, Mahayuga, Yuga, twilight between yugas. All right, I'm looking for the text to explain to you Parasharas. So there will be, I will take this, let me show you how many hymns he has. It's quite interesting to know in general. Let me recapture it in this way. So this is Rigveda Samhita, first book, first mandala. So we start with Madhuchanda Vishwamitra. These will be the first hymns of his. You see, it comes to 10. And then from an 11 also from his family, it will be his child already. And from number 12, we have Medhati Thikanva hymns. And then we looked into number 36. So we will go to Parashara Shaktya 65. So this was, yeah, we overlooked. I think we have to come back to the, yes, there are more hymns in the Secret of the Veda or in the hymns to the Mystic Fire. I have to check because I have my own list of hymns. I jumped, yes. There was 36 and there was something in between. No? Was there?
We have no idea. At least I don't.
Okay, so sorry. Kind of asking you these questions. Let me open the hymns to the Mystic Fire. I also recommend you to read this introduction to the hymns to the Mystic Fire, the doctrine of the mystics. There is nothing ever was written better on the Veda than this. Never. I don't recollect. There's no better writing on it. So here we are, mandala 1, 36, and after 36 there will be one more hymn. Maybe we will come back since we want to cover the whole section. Yeah, 59. This is what I skipped. 59. So I jumped to 65. You see, I skipped one hymn, short hymn. I will come back to it after Parashara's hymns because I didn't prepare it for you. Yeah.
So I had a quick question. These are not in the Secret of the Veda book, right?
It is the hymns to the Mystic Fire.
It's a different book.
Yes, there are two books, The Secret of the Veda and the Hymns to the Mystic Fire.
Okay.
There is one more book which is new. It is the Vedic Studies, which came as a new volume, by the way. I would love you to look into it also.
It's called Vedic Studies.
It is the collection of all their the documents. I will find for you now in a minute.
Okay.
I will apply all this. This calls Vedic and Philological Studies. Here it is. Vedic and Philological Studies by Sri Aurobindo, totally new volume, just recently came out. 2016, yeah, volume 14. And it's a huge volume. Yeah. Here you will find all the collections. You can see all the parts. These essays on Vedic interpretation, incomplete, which Sri Aurobindo was writing, never published. Part 2, the selected Vedic hymns. Part 3, commentaries and Vedic notes. Part 4, Part 5, essays on notes on philology. It's all related to the studies of the Vedic language. It's so rich. So it has a huge number of pages, most probably 700 in it's like Live Divine, huge. Yeah. So all the roots he compares here. This volume you must have. I will kind of send you all the links to these. Send you the PDFs at least.
Yes, thank you.
And hymns to the Mystic Fire, also PDF, I will send you. And there you must read the Doctrine of the Mystics. Yeah.
Okay.
This introduction, it's something amazing. Everything will become clear. After that, maybe you don't need even to study Rig Veda, because everything is written
Tell us a
down.
little about it, please.
Say it again.
Could you tell us a little about it, please?
Oh, yeah. Well, there is much to, yeah. You have to look into it. Yeah, how he describes the gods, how they work, what they represent, what the myths represent one by one, the major myths of Angirasa Rishis, Indra slaying Vritra, Indra destroying Vala, and discovering the hidden light in the subconscious cave, Panis, everything, the cow, the horse, the Vedic deities, just in the most quintessential manner, in the most poetic language, the doctrine of the mystics. He gives all the principles that you can see here, yes? From Sat Chit, Ananda, Vijnana, Manas, Prana, and Annam, all several worlds. So it's actually it's the overview of all the Vedic religion within 50 pages. Read it slowly, yeah, no rush. Enjoy every passage. Now, first sentence. In ancient times, the Veda was revered as a sacred book of wisdom, a great mass of inspired poetry, the work of rishis, seers, and sages, who received in their illumined minds, rather than mentally constructed, a great universal, eternal, and impersonal truth, which they embodied in mantras, revealed verses of power, not of an ordinary, but of a divine inspiration and source. So the first sentence is already kind of tuning you into what he will be talking. The name Kavi, Shruti, Satya Shrutach, Kavayach, everything so beautiful. I can read it all the time for myself, you know. And whenever I want to join that flood of inspiration by Sri Aurobindo, I'm just reading this. All right, let's come back to our studies. So what I wanted to show you here is that Parashara Shaktya, here from 65, his first hymn, and you see Rishi Parashara Shaktya, Chandas Dvipada Virat, very rare style, 10 syllabic pada. So Vishvanata Yum Guha Chatantam Namo Yujanam Namo Vahantam, this style. Very rare for the Vedic rhythm. Vedic usually loves this 8 12, yeah, Jagati and Anushtup. Sometimes Trishtup, which is very different. But this type 10 is very unusual and very rare. So he, Parashara Shaktya, writes in this style. And you can notice this. This is his first hymn, number 65, hymn to Agni Devata Agnihi. You can see in this square always the major information, Rishi, meter, and deity. Next one, 66, the same. Parashara Shaktya, Dvipada Virat, and Devata Agnih. 67, the same, Agnih. 68, Agnih, Parashara Shaktya. 69, Agnih, Parashara Shaktya. 70, all these hymns we will read. 71, Devata Agnih, Parashara Shaktya. The style has changed into Trishtubh. So not only Dvipada Virat. And then 72, Devata Agni. And 73, Devata Agni. And that's it. So all the hymns up to 73 from 65 by Parashara Shaktya, Devata Agni. See, he didn't compose any other hymn to any other deity. And from that time on, we have Gautama Rahu Ganaha, one of the ancient rishis, yeah, who became the father. He is the father of many families of Gautama, of Vamadeva, and so on. So these are archaic rishis. Yeah? We will also
It's
read
Rahu Gan, Vladimir.
Huh?
It says Rahu Gan.
Yes.
What does that mean?
From Rahu Gana. He is from the group of Rahu. There are archaic names which are quite interesting in a way that you have Dirghatama Uchathe is another prehistoric rishi, which the Dirghatama, long darkness rishi is. So, and this Rahu Ganaha is also belonging to Rahu family. You're interested in names, we can check. Oh, they don't even give this name. Rahu, I made a mistake, sorry. Rahu Gana. They don't give any explanation to what is this. Most probably it belongs to Rahu Gana. Family belonging to the race of Angirasas. That's it. No explanation. It's an interesting word, Rach. Yeah, if you look into this Rahu Raja. Okay, let me check the Rach as the root. Part, separate, leave, quit. Swiftness, speed. From here we have Raghuvansha and Rahu, yes, and it's Laghu, maybe he have also the same family, light or speedy, swift. Okay, these are prehistoric names, so let's start with our new hymn. Sorry. And our new hymn, I will open here. Oops. So Dvipada Virat, 10 syllabic pada. I prepared for you this file. Pashvanatayum guhachatantam namo yujanam namo vahantam sajosha dhirah padair anugman upatvasidan vishveya jatrah. He hides himself like a thief with the cow of vision in the secret cavern. He takes to himself our adoration, and thither he carries it. The thinkers take a common joy in him. They follow him by his footprints. All the masters of sacrifice come to thee, O flame, in the secrecy. Such a vision, yeah? It's totally unusual even for the Vedic rishis. The language is very simple and at the same time very archaic in the usage of the grammar. Pashvana, as with Pashu, as if with the one, why Sri Aurobindo translates with the vision, so the cow of vision. Pashu means actually any domesticated animal, yes, later. But Sri Aurobindo says we have Pashupati, the Lord of Pashu, yes, Shiva. And Sri Aurobindo says that Pashu is from root pash, spash, spashtam. You know this word, spasht hai in Hindi. This is from this ancient root, spash. To spashtam is just participle perfect passive voice, yes, clarified and perceived literally. And that's why it is clear as this meaning. Spashyati, the ancient root, and then pashyati in classical Sanskrit. So pashu is from this root to see, to perceive. And so all the creatures who have the perception or who have consciousness which can perceive things, yes, all the creatures, including human beings, including are called pashus, where consciousness got embodied in the physical form, yeah, in the physical body. So later it has meaning of the animals, or especially domesticated animals. In the Vedic, in the Brahmanic literature, it is also the beasts, all the creatures, including the beasts from the forest, not only domesticated, but later only domesticated. Here he says about the cow, because cow belongs also to Pashus. Later, in closer to our time, cows are excluded from Pashu. And Pashu are the goats, all the rest, but not the cows and horses. They have separate names because of names. But truly speaking, these are those who possessing the perception, the consciousness embodied, as if with the one who has the vision, the cow of the vision, who has the consciousness, the perception. Tayum, him, the thief, Guha Chatantam, hiding in Guhayam, in the cave, as if this thief hiding in the cave together with the Pashu. Now, this is the allusion which is used all the time in the Veda. The thieves are the panis. They stole our illuminations, our cows, and hid them in the subconscious cave. And from there, they are withholding our wealth, our secret resources of consciousness, of our spiritual consciousness from us in the subconscious cave. There Indra comes and Soma and Agni and Brihaspati, and they destroy Vala, the subconscious cave, and free our inner resources. These inner resources are stolen from us. That's why we are tired. That's why we are old. We are losing our energy and die eventually. Because if these resources were given to us, we would be immortals. So So that's why they're stolen and stored in the subconscious cave. So he is like that thief who is hiding in the subconscious cave together with those illuminations, of our consciousness, compared to the thieves, to the robbers of our spiritual perception. He is the robber of our spiritual perception, like that, compared to those who have to be conquered by us. Namo Yujanam. He is the one who takes Yujanam, who is yoked literally to our obeisance, or to our obeisance. Now we obey him. We namo to our surrender. He is connected to our surrender. Namo Vahantam, carrying our surrender. Sri Aurobindo translates adoration here, interesting. Namah as adoration, also an interesting way of translating. Namas is bowing down, surrender, obeisance, and adoration.
Could it also be aspiration?
Yes?
Could it also be aspiration?
It's rather surrender than aspiration. Aspiration is more seeking, calling, and this is more giving oneself to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Vladimir, this thief who is hiding in the cave, he hides himself like a thief. So, we are adoring. Are we adoring? I didn't understand how he carries our adoration if he's hiding our resources from us. The two are
He is like this now. Yeah? So he is like the thief hiding in the cave of the. He is in the cave. Hridi guhayam parame vyoman. Yeah? He is the antaryamin. Yeah.
Agni.
Yes, Agni, the flame within the heart. So in that sense, of course, he is. Yeah.
Okay.
And as if with the wealth, with our own conscious wealth, he is hiding there, connected or yoked to our adoration, carrying our adoration forward. Now, this carrying forward is aspiration. So carrying forward our adoration is aspiration, but yoked to it is that our aspiration is always, how to say, connected to the flame within. So he is the engine of all our aspirations. He is the cause of all our aspiration. He is connected to it in such a way that whenever we aspire, it is he who aspires. It is he who is carried forward. Yeah? Sajosha dhirach padaich anugman. And dhiras, those wise ones who carry dhi, the power of concentration, sajosha, happily, padaich, step by step, or following his trace or his footprints, anugman, follow him. Now, what are his footprints? It's again a very beautiful poetic imagery. His footprints are actually ashes. Wherever he moved, he leaves ashes behind. Yeah? And these ashes are his footprints. That means he worked there out and he burned all the forms which are not supposed to be and left the trace of ashes. When he burns the forests, he leaves only the black trace of ashes. And you know, in the Indian religion, ashes are considered to be holy in a way. And they can purify the wound, they are totally pure in a way, because they are absolutely already purified by fire. So they can be used as the...
Called vibhuti.
Yeah, also vibhutis, yes. And that's why the ascetics, they put the ashes on the forehead. So you can really put them on the wound. If you have no other antibiotics, you take ashes and put on the wound, and it will save it from infection.
It also has
Ashes,
a cooling effect. It has a cooling effect.
cooling also.
So,
And also you can drink or you can eat if you have stomach problems, some kind of infection in the intestine, really, ashes will help.
So, Vladimir, why does Lord Shiva cover himself with ashes?
Yeah, well, that's the question. Yeah, because he is the ascetic. Yeah, and so ashes are protecting him from all kinds of. He is not taking any bath or something. So ashes is his bath. Yeah? And that means his fire already worked it out. Fire is the only purifier. That's why we are speaking here about this is the hymn to fire. You know? And ashes is the trace of his work.
it's prasad.
Also, when when we die, when we cremated, and and there is only ash left, and he's the god of destruction for transformation. So it's a symbol of destruction for rebirthing. So he represents that also with that ash as part of his presence.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that also.
Yesterday I was watching the movie about some witches and so on, and it's quite interesting that that the witches, according to Christian tradition, can be only burnt. Only fire can actually take all those creatures, demons. There's only fire can, truly speaking, remove their being. Yes, otherwise they would survive. You cannot really kill them. You can only burn them. And this, I was thinking, oh, this is the fire. It is by the fire that we can purify our impurities, which endure, which sustain, which reform themselves and live again and come again and again, only by offering them to the fire. That's why the rishis are constantly invoking fire. Burn all the enemies, burn all the rakshasas, and they can be only burned. You cannot kill them. You chop their heads off, there are new heads are growing. So you have to give them to the fire. And fire is a symbol not only of knowledge, the supramental knowledge, but also power. And this is supramental knowledge, power, which can transform anything. So the ashes is the sign of this transformation, or the leftovers of that which should not be endured.
It's very interesting, Vladimir, when you said you're calling it the footprints. And it just took me to, I had collected all these leaves from my around my house, all the trees, and I had dried them and semi-dried them, and I made a huge collage with them, and I painted with it, and I called it Earth's footprint, because in autumn it's falling, and then the Earth is rotating to winter, and it's traveling through around the sun. So actually, the seasons are the measure of the footprints. The leaves are the measure of the seasons that are changing, and the Earth is rotating. So for me, those fallen leaves were actually that. They were Earth's footprint. She has crossed this time and then moved forward. And then I made a painting with them. I just remembered, oh my God, it must be meaning similar. At that time, I didn't think the logic. It just came to me that this is the painting of Earth's footprints. And those leaves are still, that painting is still there in my mother's house with all the leaves.
Nice.
Yeah, very lovely. Sri Aurobindo is also using this imagery in Savitri, footprints of the gods. Yeah? So they leave only the footprints behind us. So they don't change the whole thing. They leave only the footprints that they tried to change, some kind of signs. So he most probably has the same idea here. Padaich, with the padas, anugman, they follow by the padas, by his footprints. Yeah? So they follow there where he works. They see where he works, there they go. Upatvasidan Vishveya Jatrach, and around you, O Agni, all the Yajatras, those who are doing the sacrifice, the masters of the sacrifice, sit around you. Now, this sacrifice, constant transformation of the being, and the fire which is doing this work, yeah? His footprints, his signs of where he went, what he did, we follow him. It is he who is yoked to our adoration and carries our adoration forward. He is hiding in the subconscious cave of the heart as the thief with our conscious treasures. Yeah? Because he is representing our conscious treasures, he will reveal them in the subconscious cave of the heart. It is you who, the wise, by holding concentration in the higher mind, have followed step by happily discovered here. Sajosha dhirach padai chanugman. This is my interpretation. Hiding in the cave with Pashu, like a thief, Pashvanatayam guhachatantam, who has thus yoked himself to our surrender, obeisance. Namo Yujanam, carrying our surrender, obeisance. Namo Vahantam. So, where all the universal powers worthy of sacrifice have sat around you. I changed a bit. Yajatraha can be translated as those who are worthy of sacrifice or those who are doing the sacrifice.
So Vladimir, Agni, like a thief, he's sitting in the cave. That also could mean he's protecting all our inner consciousness from being stolen.
Or not yet revealed, yeah, or still in the beyond, in the transcendental realm, in his house. He is not yet totally kind of manifested here on the surface, and so we perceive him as hidden in the cave of the heart. Guha is usually the cave of the heart. Hridi guhayam, constantly. Yeah? Guha is never used otherwise. So it's in the cave of the heart he is hiding. Oh.
Next to the psychic being.
Yeah, he is in a way the psychic being, yeah. Hiding in the heart, in the cave of the heart, yes. Cave of the heart is that cavity into which we have to come in, as Mother says, yes. You have to go in and down, down, down into that cave until you come to the place where you see the flame. Yeah, there's something warm, something true, and that is the flame constantly is there, and that is your psychic being. So he's there. We can discover him. And he is connected, tight to our adoration. All our adorations are true adorations, are adorations of the divine creation, of course. What else is there to adore? Yeah? Cannot be any other adoration. So we adore something of the beauty or the wonders of the divine creation, and he is connected to it constantly. Every adoration true is psychic in a way, in its nature. though it is going through vital and mental and physical nature, still shining through them, still it belongs to, it is tight, connected, yujanam, to this namah, to the surrender to the divine. Because psychic being knows only surrender to the divine. Yes? It doesn't know any other movement of its own. It doesn't care of its own kind of freedom or something. It wants only the divine. It lives only for that purpose, to find the divine. And that's the difference between psychic feelings and emotions and vital. Yeah, vital wants self-aggrandizement, self-assertion, some kind of pleasures for itself. It also likes to exaggerate things. It wants the desires. Yeah, the desires are always immediate. Always, you have to get it right now. Yeah, if you don't get it now, then it is gone. So then the desire is lost. So it's like this, very demanding its own realization, and this aspiration is very different. It can look for the divine forever, and the smaller things it finds, it is happy with them anyhow. You found something small and you are happy that you found it. Yeah. So small or big doesn't matter for this aspiration. Really doesn't matter. The small is as good as big, but not for the desire, not for the vital. Vital is very different. So that's why namah. Yeah, namah is surrender to the divine. Constant surrender every time. And through that surrender is that adoration and gratitude. That gratitude is nothing but this namaha. By the way, and also, of course, humility. Yes, humility and gratitude, two qualities of the psychic. Gratitude is most probably active namaha, yes? Surrendering, love, unconditional love, that's why he puts adoration here. I like it. Because namaha is more like a humility. You don't claim your own position there anymore, because you know the divine is. And because you know that the divine is, that he is in charge of everything, you understand that your role is very minimal here, is to find and to surrender to the divine. And then because of that humility, that active part of it, adoration comes. Unconditional love is next. That's why after humility we have gratitude. So he's connected to those two movements of our humility as creatures being born here, and surrender and love for the divine. All right.
Vladimir, it
Ritas,
seems
yeah?
the way it's written, the way it's created or constructed, it seems that there is a conscious effort in trying to hide a deeper meaning. It's not, it's as if made so that, even like there is a veil between what you are reading and what it means, like in deeper way. Like it's as if purposely written like that. That's how I feel. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, you're right. And Shubhendu writes about this and explains this this desire of the rishis to speak in the language which will be understood by the initiate. Yeah?
It was called Sandhya Bhasha.
Right, this double symbolism, for
Yes,
example.
Sandhya
After.
Bhashya.
Mhm. And in a way, yeah, it was the manner in which all the ancient knowledge and mysterium was, yeah, written down. And the same with the Hebrew scriptures, but the symbolism was very different there, in the sense that how it was kind of packed into the secrecy. So they did it through the language. Yeah. So the Bible can be read in the outer form as a kind of, generations after generations came, who was born after who, what they did, very outer surface meaning. But if you start looking into the language and the symbolism of the letters and what they represent, so there will be a hidden meaning, totally different story. And layer upon layer you can go. The same here, only this symbolism is, so language is not doing that. Yeah, language is, of course, presenting something of the roots. Yeah, and the roots can be read in many ways, but they will carry the same meaning. So the outer being, the outer nature, is the camouflage or the cover for the inner meaning, and in a way symbolically represents the inner meaning. And that connection of the outer nature as the symbolic representation of the inner meaning is visible to the Vedic rishis. Yeah? So they use those symbols outside to connect them to the inner movements inside. And in that sense, it's the best way to hide the symbolism, and the real meaning, through the symbolism. As Sri Aurobindo says, we are all here symbols of some higher reality. All human beings. Yeah? We just don't think in those terms anymore. The sun, the wind, and the earth. Yeah? Everything is symbolic representation of the higher meaning. If we can recover that sense, we would see how beautiful Veda is. It is not totally hiding. It is half transparent in a way, if you want to see. It is using the symbolism of nature to represent the true meaning of everything which appears here in the world. If you look at the mountains, what does it represent? Yeah, we know immediately that it represents the heights. Yeah, the climbing upward to the sky above, the sun above, the earth below. So you immediately have these symbols, these archetypal meanings are coming to you without even knowing much. It's somehow you are inbuilt into this meaning with everything. Look, your head is up above and all the torso is in between and the legs are below. So you can see immediately, even without knowing anything, the meanings. Yeah, the meanings are in the forms, in their functionalities. If we apply a little curiosity, a little kind of consciousness to it, we will see immediately how everything is well organized. I think Veda operates on that level. So it requires certain kind of higher consciousness or higher mentality to view it from that point of view. If person doesn't have it, then it will be only some thief hiding in the cave with the cow stolen. And yes, and carrying our kind of obeisance because he wants to sell us back our stolen cow. Yeah. By the way, if you read the interpretations of the scholars, of the Indologists from the West, you will be shocked. Yeah, how it is translate it and interpret it. That some Dravidians stole the cows from the village and they hid it in the in the cave nearby in the mountains. And then Indra, the chief of the village, got drunk from Soma, and drunken, he was ready to fight. Otherwise, he was scared, because it's written he was scared. And so after drinking a lot of Soma, alcohol, vodka, he decided to bring back the cows. And so he goes there and he destroys the Dasyus, the Dravidians, original aboriginals, and takes back the cows. This is it. This is the Veda. In the most poetic language in the world, this story is written. But they don't care about the language. That's what they can see. And I think this is their capacity of their mind, yeah, to see that. Makes them see what they can see.
And right in the beginning, when you read about the first line, that how the truth, it is truth which is revealed, inspired truth. So it is so beyond the mind, right? When you're talking about the doctrines of the mystics.
Yeah.
That was the first line we read.
Right. Right. So the truth is manifolded, so to say. It has many levels. Yeah. On the physical, it is projected in the nature and the wind, sun, rain, rivers, mountains, trees, enjoyments, fighting, animals, these pashas who have embodied consciousness and perception, human beings, manushya, who have the mind and the capacity to choose in between two different things. So all this is a meaningful kind of symbolism of what we are, yeah, and our relations. Everything is connected in such a beautiful manner that one cannot even. Somebody was sending me this. There is this person from Sri Aurobindo Society. He sends all these emails. He was sending the email about story which Mother commented upon from Vishnu Purana or somewhere, where Garuda was watching the bird, small bird, chirping, singing, and he was so happy to see this small bird so beautifully singing. And then he saw Yama passing by and looking at the bird, and he thought, oh, Yama put his eye upon the bird, so I have to save the bird. So he took the bird away into far away land, into some desert that it could be away from Yama. And then when he was going back to Vishnu's place, he saw Yama very thoughtfully sitting there, and he asked him, so what are you thinking about? He said, I'm thinking about the bird, small bird I saw singing there, and I thought, this bird is coming to the end of its life, but it will end in some desert faraway land. How could it go there so fast? That's what I was wondering about. So only one person I know, that is Garuda, who could bring him so fast to that place. So, and then he was kind of a little shocked, and then the wind started to blow, and then they asked the wind, what why you are doing here? He said, I created a huge storm in the desert land, and was wondering what that small bird was doing in that. Somebody created a havoc bringing the bird into that desert place, so I had to create the big storm, and only bird died, nobody else, from that storm. So yeah, I wanted to say something by this, that everything is so amazingly connected. Yeah, every movement. And I was thinking, how is that? How are we operating? We are operating through thoughts. Yeah. Suddenly thought comes to Garuda. Suddenly thought comes to, and he decides to do something. And then everything is connected. So somebody is operating through all our minds. Yeah. All our feelings. It's amazing. It's not only on the surface that we look at the surface, how it happened that I was there and I went there and did this, but we don't look what I thought before. I thought to go there. I was doubting it, and where this doubt came from. It came from somewhere in that particular moment of time. Yeah, it created in the, and I was thinking about the story reading in the morning. I read the story and the whole world has changed. My world changed. Because in that moment of time, I didn't think something else. Yeah? I thought this. And so all the sequence of my life today and from this time on will be different. And now I'm telling this story to you. So you see how everything has changed with that email sending to me, and somehow my eye got stuck on that story. I could have, I didn't have time to read it, but for some reason I just found the time to read it. So I'm telling you, this is much more complex than we think of this reality. And we are all symbolic representatives of some events, spiritual, mental, vital, physical. It is not just the physical world which is bumping, and trying to make sense. No, it's just the final result on the surface. Everything else already has happened inside. Okay, and now next one. Ritasya deva anuvratagu bhuvat parishtich diyauch navhuma vardhantim apach panva sushishvim ritasya yona garbhe sujatam. The gods follow after him, the law of the workings of truth. After this, not very clear. He stands encompassing all as heaven, the earth. The waters make him grow, increasing in his bulk by their toil. The flame, well born in the womb, in their womb, is the abode of the truth. Totally mysterious, yeah? Thus the Godheads of the dynamic truth have followed your ways of being, Ritasya Deva Anuvratagu, and the ground of the sacrifice became as vast as heaven, Bhuvat Parishtich Dyauch Nabhuma. The waters nourished the growing embryo with their action, Vardhanti im apahpanva sushishvim, and the womb of the dynamic truth. And in the womb of the dynamic truth, the perfect child was born. Ratasya yona garbhe sujatam. Sushishvi is Vedic word, swelling or growing well, usually in the womb, the embryo. Parishtich, interesting words. These are words mainly in the Rig Veda. Obstruction or some kind of enclosure or dilemma or distress. Pari sti. Yeah? We have abhishti, upashti, abhishti also surrounding, upashti closer. We can have many words of this kind. It's most probably from root as, to be around. Yeah? To obstruct also, if to be around, or to enclose also. So as heaven encloses earth, how did they know that heaven encloses earth? Hmm? Then the earth has to be round because heaven has to embrace it from all sides. This could be also a good proof that they knew that the earth was round. Or it can be that it is from above, yes, holding it. So Ritasya, I translate directly, Ritasya Deva, the gods, Devah, the gods of the dynamic truth, Anuvrataguh, they anuguh, they follow you, your vratas, your actions, your laws. Bhuvat parishtik diauch na bhuma, and as the heaven encloses earth, you are Bhuvat, or he is. Vardhanti im, and indeed they increase, the waters increase him, sushishvim, perfectly growing within the enclosure, panva, with their panu. Panu is adoration or worship, admiration. The waters with their admiration grow him strong within. And it's quite interesting that in the womb, the child is in the waters and he grows stronger and stronger by the admiration of the waters. Yeah? They are feeding him. They are the feeders also. And Ritasya Yo now, in the womb of the Rita, of the dynamic truth, Garbhe, in the Garbha, Sujatam, the perfectly born child. Panva can be also by their chanting, Panu, yeah? It's from root pan, to praise. From here, by the way, panis also. They also pan, to praise. And pan also to act and to praise. Because interestingly, the word is connected to these karmendriyas. Yeah? The speaking is one of those faculties which grew up from the inconscient. The speaking is a faculty, not the word. The word comes from above, but the speaking faculty, expressing oneself, expressing one's wish or communication, expressing oneself, is growing from the inconscient. So each element, each molecular tries to express itself in some way or another. All right. I think we can stop here. Not much of the meaning yet. Yeah? We are kind of going slow. We should go faster, most probably. Because
No, this is good. This is good. I don't know how the others feel, but this is really good.
Oh, this is good, Vladimir. We can understand it so much better.
yeah, we are
And
dwelling.
Vladimir,
Yeah,
yeah, we need 3 more lifetimes anyway to get it. So we might as well, not rush. So.
yeah, because there is a danger. Once you get it, you will forget it. I'm joking. But this is true. Once one gets it very fast, it's like, oh, it's there. I know what it is. Yeah. What do you know, really? This is not the knowledge to be remembered or to be known in that way. It's not something you can carry. It needs to be lived. It needs to be comprehended, discovered. Mhm.
It is beautiful. Maybe if we get to know it, we'll just disappear into oblivion and become an ascetic.
Oblivion. Nice.
Actually, what you were saying, no, read the doctrines slowly. I think we should read one paragraph before sleeping and then go to sleep, so it works. And when we wake up, like, oh, that's what it meant. Okay, the next night read the next paragraph, again sleep. I mean, that's what I feel. That way, the brain is not going to decode it for us. So that's how I got a little bit of life divine. If I would think and read, nothing will go inside. If I just read and then just, okay, now I don't know anything about the world. After 2 hours, like, oh, that's what it meant. So it was like actually correct. Like it reveals itself to you. And the
Yeah.
more you kind of like allow it to, the more you get out of your way, the more kind of, So yeah.
You see what we are doing now? We have this project we finished with the human cycle reading by Narad, and we created audiobooks. Audiobooks with the text. You can see the text and you can listen to the text. The problem is here that we spend a lot of mental energy to read, and then it doesn't really, we already are exhausted in a way till we finish the sentence of Sri Aurobindo. So when somebody else reads for you in fluent, meaningful manner, and you can dwell on it, it goes easier in. The meaning recovers faster. So in the ancient system, it was svadhyaya. You learn text perfectly by heart, and then you read it to yourself. That means your mind is not actively engaged in, building up the blocks, recovering the grammatical connections. It doesn't really spend that energy. So it flows already. Mind only observes the flow, and then the meaning comes. So here the same story. I was thinking when you said this, to read passage by passage of the doctrine of the mystics, maybe we should create also the audiobook for this.
Vladimir, I have a sound studio and I can read nicely. So if you want me to read, I mean, you all have to pray and put all those powers, those energies in me, and then I shall read that one passage. And
let's do it. I will show you what we did. You will love it. It was Narad reading. We spent, I don't know, 2 years to read both the human cycle and the ideal of human unity. Now I am editing ideal of human unity. I put them into these formats of the, like one passage, one sentence, 2 sentences on the text. So you can see it clearly. It's not in the big, page that you have to find with your eyes, and then you have to follow this, and then nobody reads to you, and you read unknown words which you have to check with the dictionary. So that all work is good and has to be done, but not in the sense of coming of the meaning. So we think we can help. So I'm taking you, Rashi, for this. And if we do this, it will be an amazing work. You will see.
See, do you know this book of past dawns and future noons towards a resurgent India? It's all about art of India from ancient times, written by a devotee in Sri Aurobindo Society long time ago. And this is what I want to read as a podcast from my studio, just so that people really get the purpose and the meaning of arts, performing arts, sculpture, music, poetry, everything. So I'm already thinking about it. It's just that I didn't know who will hear. I'm told I must do this because India needs to awaken. So we need to do this. So I said, okay, I will do it. But then now that there are people who are hearing, so I'm happy that maybe this is what needs to happen first. Because I also know that when I do my healing sessions and, I do my channeling, at that time when I'm in that, very concentrated space, my voice, the frequency changes. and it stays in people's ears for a longer time, which people have told me, which I don't know. So I think that also is important, that some certain divine energy flows with the words, so that the energy also works for grasping, absorbing, and taking it deeply in. And this work needs to be done. I mean, I'm committed to it.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. So I will be back to you on this,
Yes.
and so
Sorry for taking this time, the excitement. Sorry, the vital. Sorry.
this is a great thing to do. I will send you the links what we did, and you will look into it, suggest something how to improve it, the flow and so on. I noticed one thing with this work, that Sri Aurobindo in each chapter gives one thought. It's a one particular thought which you must get, and you cannot get it until you really go through very slowly with all his, and at the end you have this blessing. You understood what he meant. You can see, you can come back, you can take all that material and use it for this thought. You can have it. It is becoming havable for you. That's what he does for us. He is not rushing to convince some mind or surface mind or tell his story. No, he's really doing the work for us. And I can see this. Listening to one chapter, second chapter, you get the full thought, and you have to keep it. You cannot read chapter after chapter. It's not working. You forget the thought. You didn't get the thought. You have to get the thought from the chapter. This is the treasure. It's like a gem, which you will always have. You will always refer to this gem, always. And if you read through, you will have nothing. Yeah? Just something was there. Yeah, something was interesting, good. But what? What was there? Do you remember the first chapter of the Ideal of Human Unity? Yes, I do. Yeah. I remember that thought, that precious thought. Oh, and what is that precious thought? It is about that unity which is achieved too soon is a problem. It becomes a stagnation. This is the thought of the whole chapter. So it needs to develop slowly. Nature wants to develop all the aggregates, all the diversity. It wants to sustain all the diversity in the unity. Unity which is achieved by uniformity too soon becomes a stagnation, and it kills the enthusiasm and growth of individual elements. That is his. Individual is the first and must be most supported by the development of society, and then only pay back to the society with its own development, and not other way around. This is the thought of one chapter.
And we are doing exactly the opposite by sending everybody to factory schooling and putting them in corporate cabins where everybody dresses the same, speaks this way, same, and forgets all their individual talents and becomes a unified mass which no individual scope for blossoming. I mean, isn't that the truth of the present modern world?
Absolutely. And look at other formations such as China or Russia. It's domination of the social structure over the individual. And then he compares this to the great empire, Roman Empire. And he says, you see, Roman Empire was so well organized. It was so huge. It connected all the nations, all the countries. It was so efficient. But then, what happened then? It happened that efficiency killed the enthusiasm of the elements, of the smaller beings. And they started to refer to the center. They started not to look what they can do in their home, but to refer to the authority. And that started stagnation. And over hundreds of years of stagnation, one knock from outside and the whole huge, this crumbled down as if it wasn't there at all. Just look at this beautiful Sri Aurobindo's vision. And it tells us everything about all these empires, about Russia today, what will happen to this. They try to keep this empire, to bring back the lands and so on to this empire. It's going to fail totally, because the stagnation is already so much within, you know, that it's a very weak, huge country. And these smaller countries like Czechia, Switzerland, yeah, Luxembourg, they're very powerful. They're small, hardly anything. And that's why he says these cities in a Greek, they were powerful. Venus, small Venus was Venezia, yes, was the center of all the culture in Europe, one city. The concentration of energy within the individual formation. This is, individuals are important. That's why US is so powerful until now, because individual liberty is here promoted, not the structure, not the culture, not the society dominates. And what HP says, he came here with few dollars in his pocket and he built the empire because he knows how to work. There in India, he would be somewhere in his village, I don't know who. Yeah, but yes, because that village holds him. It will not let him go. You know, it will. All everybody knows who you are, where you are coming from, what you are capable of, or what you must be. Everybody tells you. So it's very difficult to free yourself from it. So many thoughts are coming from one chapter, from one thought, yeah, which is like a gem, which is changing all your thinking. And each chapter has this a particular gem, you know, so we can tune our mentality to Sri Aurobindo and start looking at the world and ourselves differently. All right, I'm sorry I'm overtaking with my enthusiasm of this reading Sri Aurobindo. The same with this doctrine of the mystics. My God, what is there? Everything is there. After that, I don't know whether we need to study Rig Veda, because he put it all. We need it only as a continuation of connecting to it. Yeah.
Please send it to us, Vladimir. We wait for
I
it.
will send, yes,
Thank
immediately.
you.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्